You're dialed into the right place, baby.
You're dialed into the right place.
You better not go nowhere, you dig?
And now your host, Ryan Hensley.
And now your host, Ryan Hensley.
What's going on, everybody? I'm back. I got Grant Cohn in the building, and the coach is backstage. He's going to pop on, so I got the two legends, same time, same place. Feel pretty special.
I'm a legend. Good to have. I'm excited to be here, and I'm going to speak in English today. I'm committed to it. Gibberish just won't work.
Yeah, man. I've been trying to have you, Coach, and Jesse on for a while. I keep sending a text to our group message, and everyone just ignores it.
Yeah, those are the only texts in our group message that I conveniently missed. So I never saw them.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Appreciate it. So, man, it's good to be back. Sorry I missed you Monday. Got some sleep last night. I'm feeling it. There's some stuff I want to talk about.
Ryan says he's sick. I believe him, I guess.
I'll send you some tape, some footage.
You've been battling, man. You've been battling.
I'll send you some footage at night of me hocking up alone.
Oof.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
no, it's all good, man. But yeah, I'm back in business. Going live. Coach will be popping on here in a second. I got Grant Cohn, the legend, making up for Monday.
He's contractually obligated to say that. You can't have me on the show and not call me Grant Cohn, the legend. I changed my name.
He said he would replace me with Marco unless I called him the legend every time.
That's true. So,
yeah, which is understandable.
Yeah, Marco's good.
He is smart as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. And his immune system is a little bit stronger than yours.
Yeah, it's much better. Yeah. All right, man. I got this little weird theory in my head. It's not a theory, but something I've been thinking about for a while now. And I don't even know if it's possible. But Kyle Shanahan is responsible for a lot of the success of this team.
He's a head coach.
He's a head coach. But he's also kind of responsible for them falling short a couple of times.
He's a head coach.
He's a head coach.
He's a head coach. Yeah.
He gets
when they lose, he's the offensive coordinator. When they win, he's the head coach.
Right. So my question is, can the 49ers Kyle proof this roster? Is that possible? And if so, how do they do that?
I don't want to say no because I think you have the answer for this. I'm just going to say the answer escapes me, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say because to me, Kyle is the most powerful head coach in the league, the most comfortable head coach in the league. Like, I don't even think Andy Reid has the level of power and job security that Kyle has a freaking life contract with the 49ers. He can work here as long as he pleases, and he can hire and fire whoever he wants. So, how do you work around that? How do you Kyle proof? You tell me. Maybe.
Oh, you assuming I have answers here, Coach?
What's going on, brother?
I just asked Grant. I told, Kyle's responsible for a lot of the success of this 49ers team. Ultimately, he's also responsible for them falling short a couple times. So my question is, can the 49ers Kyle proof this roster? And how is that possible?
No.
Straight up.
No, they can't. The way it runs top down. It's interesting that you would bring this point up. I was having this conversation. Sorry, guys. I was having this conversation earlier where I was watching the Pivot podcast with Tariq Hill, and he was giving a conversation about how Patrick Mahomes had given them all calls on the phone during a certain particular part of the season to basically check them on all of their expectations of what they should be doing. He challenged Tariq Hill about his hands. He said, bro, you suck. What's the point of you being so fast and you can't catch the ball? He challenged he challenged Travis Kelce in his blocking, and his mental errors. He literally called people and policed. And I remember watching that and thinking to myself, can Brock Purdy do that with the 49ers? And is there a level of leadership on our team where when things are failing or when there needs to be kind of like a kick in the ass, a lot of times it cannot come from the head coach. And it also just made me think about, because I'm not going to filibuster, guys, but it also made me think about one other thing is that whenever we hear about the team being motivated or riding the ship, it never really comes from like a player standpoint. It's always John Lynch had to sit the team down, or
They brought in Steve Young.
Steve Young had to come in and talk to the team. And it's kind of like, but it's like, they don't really police themselves, right? Everybody, they're friends, but it's like a frat. Like they're cool as long as the good times are rolling. And then everybody, go ahead, go.
I feel like Brock has it in him. He's just too young. Like one day, if he's, a multiple Pro Bowler and making big bucks, maybe he will be able to stand up to Kyle Shanahan and be like, no, Kyle, this is my team now. And you need to empower me. And you paid me to do this the way that Andy Reid empowers Patrick Mahomes. But I feel like they're a little far away from that. Yeah,
I mean, and there's elements of that with Brock. I mean, telling George to shut the fuck up, earlier when he came in, understanding that as a quarterback, I understand that, outside of this huddle, I may be Mr. Irrelevant and you hold sway in the locker room. But goddamn it, in this huddle, in this area of the field, I run the show, right? And I see that Brock, one thing that I like about Brock is that he is, for lack of a better term, quarterbackian. Like he is, like he's a cut above ethically, morally. You can see that even like in his free time, he definitely does a lot of things of solitude that, make him the leader. So I do see that for Brock. And that's also something that we talked about earlier, Grant, in our post shows, and Ryan, in our previous shows, is that Brock is going to expose Kyle because he's surviving him.
Yeah.
And there's no quarterbacks that really have survived. Kyle cannibalizes his quarterbacks, and by design, so he can stay hired, so he can keep sway on the offense. He galvanizes the entire team. He puts his hands on people that he should not have personal relationships with. And it's all really orchestrated. So if and when the team fails, there's really nobody that's going to look at Kyle outside of the quarterback. And it happened to Jimmy. It happened to Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard. It happened to RG3. It happened to Matt Ryan. It happened to Johnny Manziel. It happened to Kirk Cousins for a little bit of time. I'm telling you, the thing that's special about Brock is that he managed to play an entire Super Bowl in the game where we know Kyle shows his true self and also knows how to have plausible deniability. And he found a way to come out scot-free. That's a big deal.
Let me ask you this. The 49ers pushed the Chiefs into overtime and barely lost that game. They had a weak offensive line. They couldn't stop the run. Defense wasn't what it's been in years past. So I guess what I'm saying is, can the 49ers Kyle-proof the roster by fixing those gaps? If they upgrade that offensive line and they get it to playing at a high level, if the defense gets back to where it's playing like it has in years past, is that Kyle proofing this?
So what you're saying is, if the Niners take the best roster in the league and make it even better, can Kyle Shanahan finally win a Super Bowl? Correct. I mean, that's what we're talking about right now, right? Like a coach who's supposed to be elite has a roster that's supposed to be elite, and we're over here asking, well, what if they had no weaknesses? What if Kyle Shanahan had a team with no weaknesses? Could he then not lose? And the answer is, I don't know, because he's a weakness at the critical moment. He could find a way to lose with a team that's even better than this one. He just had the best team in the league and didn't know the rules. It's amazing. Kyle's credible, man. He finds new ways. He's an inspiration to people that mess up.
I just don't think Kyle proofing like that's another point. Like, we have to get better. Right? The offensive line definitely needs work. We got to get a pass rusher. All of the things that we've been talking about. Would be good to get a corner, get another linebacker in here. But these are two different narratives. One narrative is we are servicing a team to be able to stay at the level that we're at, right? We have to get better. We have to get younger. We have to get cheaper. That's what happens in the NFL. But the other side of it is, are we up to snuff to compete at a championship level? And that answer has been yes since 2019. So we've had enough to win Super Bowls. We were better than the Chiefs in 2019. We were clearly better than them in the Super Bowl that we played this game. It's not on the roster. Even with the things that we talk about in the offensive line, the things that we have to debate week to week, which are pertinent, right? In a vacuum, game-to-game situation. those things matter. But the truth of the matter is that we had enough to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Do you think Brandon Staley will be that guy to say, hey, Kyle, maybe right here you challenge this catch. Maybe right here we do this. Do you think he's that guy to do that? Because I feel like that's how you Kyle proof.
Isn't he there to sort of like be in Nick Sorensen's ear, not Kyle's? That's what I thought. I don't really think Kyle listens. Like Kyle didn't even have an offensive coordinator. He's got the offense, and you handle the defense. I don't think so, man. Brandon Staley's going to tell Kyle, "Hey, man, you're doing it wrong." Kyle's going to be like, "Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for speaking up."
Is that a solution? Is that a solution?
Appreciate your input.
49ers? Like, should he find somebody to help him manage games?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Does that person exist in the world?
Yeah, they exist.
What about that?
Well,
the person he would listen to and respect.
Pops.
His dad. He did it.
Would his
the
dad
only
give him
time
the real truth, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, if my dad were in that position, he might be gentle.
Kyle knows the truth.
Okay.
He doesn't need to be told the truth. He knows the truth.
Kyle
he does too much trying to evade it, so he knows it. So my thing is that there's only really one time in Kyle's career where he did what we're asking him to do, which is pivot, which is to show us real-time application of your skills in a season, in a game. And he did it in 2012 to save his father's job. The Redskins had brought in RG3 as a rookie, and they were 3-6, losing games with this offense. Okay. And RG3 was struggling. All right. And at that time, they had given, I think Mike Shanahan had given a speech saying that they needed to reevaluate the entire team. And we had 7 games left in the season. The Redskins had to end up winning 7 games in a row. And Kyle completely ditched the whole offense. He went straight into RPO. He acquiesced to everything that RG3 was comfortable with, all of his old plays that they were running at Baylor. And he implemented his offense as the season went on. That's why they kept winning. So he's done it. He did it. But he just hasn't done it before. He just hasn't done it since. He did it to save his father's job. So he's capable.
All right, guys, let me get the super chat. Yaz Williams says, prayers to you and yours, coach. Everything good, coach, or is that typical standard prayer?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
All right. Good. Yeah,
real quick, this last topic, me and my dad were talking about it yesterday. My dad made the point. He's like, look, if Kyle thinks Nick Sorensen would benefit from having sort of like another pair of eyes with more experience who can sort of reality check certain things that he wants to do, how about on offense too? Why not? Bring in someone that has more experience than you, that you respect, who you will work in collaboration with. Why not? It's a good idea for the defense. It works. I mean, you liked it. It's your idea.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be that? I also feel like this is kind of like a humble brag on Kyle as well, because he spends so much time on the defense. Like, it already got out that he put out the defensive game plan for the Super Bowl, and that he had his hands so much on the defense that it may have hindered his performance offensively. So I feel like even having Coach Staley as the assistant head coach now, like, I'm not letting him off the hook. It's like the next questions to Kyle should be, all right, so now that you have Brandon Staley in here, what type of workflow do you depend on having moving in the future? Like, have you eased some things up? Have you shifted some responsibilities now that you have a defense? This is your first defensive assistant head coach. All of his assistant head coaches have been offensive guys since he's been here. So this is the first time he's done this.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Grant. Let's start with Grant. What are the needs for the 49ers?
Go ahead.
What are the greatest? What are the needs for the 49ers? They have a lot more than probably people think, but what do you have as the needs for the 49ers? And we're going to get into how they go about filling those needs, but what are the greatest needs for the 49ers?
Well, it's funny. The team is so focused on their defense, even though the offense was worse in the Super Bowl, but they're so focused on the defense. They had to bring in all these new coaches. Cool. Well, just getting rid of Wilkes and elevating Sorensen and bringing in Staley doesn't fix the run defense. Still can't set the edge. You need a starting D end, a 3-down D end or multiple. You need a backup defensive tackle who can start for multiple games if and when Eric Armstead goes down. You need a linebacker who can start for part of the season until Dre Greenlaw comes back, a number 3 corner. I mean, they need a bunch of stuff on defense. And then on offense, they need an offensive tackle, maybe a guard, maybe a second tight end, maybe a number 2 quarterback. They got some needs.
What's the greatest need, Coach, for you, in your opinion?
We got to keep the main thing. I know right tackle is a big need, and I would love for them to just shore that up. Amarius Mims is right there. I've been talking about him since October. But I wouldn't be mad at a strong center either. If we stay pat at 31, it's a funky position because you want to get your value there, but you don't want to feel like you overshot yourself. And then at the same time, our second round pick is an even more precarious position to be in the draft as far as value is concerned. I would want a center. You can get one of the best centers at 31 in the first round. And I feel like also getting a center, we get a massive upgrade at the position under Jake Brendel. We get cheaper, and Jake Brendel is top 13 paid players on our cap right now, which is crazy to me. And from an offensive line standpoint, it rising tide rises all boats. I mean, that's kind of like a bang for your buck position. You help out your left and your right guard with blocking. You get to help Brock Purdy with keeping the stability of the pocket. It helps in so many ways that I feel like we miss once we don't have it. And really what's emblematic of that is Alex Mack. We had him like in the last years of his career. We didn't even get like a great Alex Mack, but what he had left really helped our run game when he was here that year before he left. I think us upgrading at center, if we don't go right tackle, is something that I would like to see.
You have center above right tackle?
I think they're going to go right tackle. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just wondering, Coach, you have center above right tackle as your greatest need?
Yeah, if we stand pat at 31, I want a center. I don't think there's anything at right tackle that would be good enough to start right away at 31. But if we stood at 31, I want a center. If we go up to go get a tackle, I'm fine with that too. But if we just purely, they're not going to find Amarius Mims at 31.
They won't. But they traded up for Brandon Ayuk when they were at 31. I think they're going to move up a little bit just because they need a right tackle. And I think the reason they didn't get one last year is they felt, well, what's the point of drafting one in round 3 or round 4? He's going to probably have to sit a year and then we'll play him next year. Why don't we just draft a guy in round 1 next year? Does that make sense? So I think it's such a good opportunity. They haven't had a first round pick in so long. I don't know that they can actually, I mean, I like Coach's idea of getting a center. It checks out. All of his logic is great, but it's just like, it's such a golden opportunity to get an offensive tackle and they need one. And it's so hard to get one if you pass on him in the first round. I think they almost have to. And if that's the case, then trade up.
Here's the thing. Steph Sanchez does a great job of recording like who the 49ers meet with versus who they actually draft and sign in as UDFAs. And it's weird. Like if you look at the list, kind of is like 3, 4, 5 of every draft, those players were met with. And if you look at who the 49ers met with, the position group they met with the most is offensive tackle. So, I was a little worried coming into this offseason because they didn't address it last year. And I think they needed to last year and they didn't. But
here's another reason to bring an offensive tackle in. Trent Williams is getting older. If he misses, how many games he misses this year? 3? If he misses 5 next year, that could ruin the season. But if they have Colton McKivitz and a first-round pick, they might be able to win some of those games.
That's facts.
Yeah. So I'm encouraged with who they met with. I think that's good. And they met with a quarterback. I don't know.
Do you have the list of offensive tackles they met with in front of you? If
I can name them right now if you want me to.
Yeah, please.
Right now they've met with Talesi Fuaga out of Oregon State, Javon Foster out of Missouri. They've met with Isaiah Adams out of Illinois. They've met with Javon Cohen out of Miami, Gottlieb Adezi out of Maryland, Graham Barton out of Duke, Kingsley Suamate out of BYU, Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, Amarius Mims out of Georgia, J.C. Latham out of Alabama.
They're all over it.
Patrick Paul out of Houston. They're on it.
There are a lot of people saying Morgan.
Griffin McDowell out of Chattanooga. They might even double down later in the draft, which I wouldn't be mad at that either.
They should be able to get someone better than Mike McGlinchey. That's the goal. Better than McGlinchey. You took McGlinchey with the 10th pick, all right?
That's so true.
Someone better than McGlinchey, please.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah, or at least better than McKivitz. Who's better? I had this debate with Rich Madrid. Who's better, McKivitz or McGlinchey?
McKivitz.
That's what I said, and everyone was like, "Oh no." Nobody agreed with
I
me,
don't know.
man.
Maybe I don't want to speak for Rich.
No,
Maybe
well,
Rich will say that physically there's certain things that McGlinchey can do because he was a first round pick, but he is mentally not tough. And his coaches would talk about it. He would talk about it, how one play leads to 3 bad plays. Like McKivitz is tough.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like Mike McGlinchey was very talented in the run game. Very talented. He could
Before the
run.
injuries.
Yes. Before the injuries, he could get out, man. And he was nimble, strong.
Hell yeah.
But in the pass protection, bro, come on, man. Colt
When-
McKivitz.
When Mostert was at his best, a lot of his long runs would go around the right side. The right side.
True.
They weren't just a left. Back then when McGlinchey was young, they didn't just run left. They could run. Their longest runs would go right. So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I got another question bouncing off of this one, but this next one is leading into it. How do the 49ers free cap space? Because it's tight right now. And, we've seen articles from Adam Silver talking about they're going to move on from some of the, big name players. Kyle Juszczyk is really expensive. Eric Armstead is really expensive. Deebo Samuel, all those guys are really expensive. How do they free up cap space? To fill these needs, they're going to need to free up some cap space. How do they do that, in your opinion?
I could start quick. They could always, cut players, but this doesn't seem like they're there yet. This seems kind of like the last dance with some of these older players. So if they want to keep the core together one more year and run it back, yada, 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 they can restructure some guys. And you don't want to restructure someone in their 30s, but there's a couple players in their late 20s who are making a lot of money, who the Niners seem to really like. Deebo and Charvarius Ward. You could restructure both of them and create like 20-something, 25 million in cap space. I'm not saying you want to. I mean, restructuring Deebo's a little scary, but
Yeah.
also having him at $28 million to me is just a no-go this year. You got to do something about that.
Okay. And I agree with that, Grant, but it's really the issue isn't the cap. The issue is the cap, but it's not the team. It's the top 10 to 13 players on this team, right? That's the real issue.
Yep.
When I say that we are top heavy, we are top heavy. All right. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Eric Armstead make up for 30% of our cap.
And don't forget Ayuk, who's going to be in there soon.
Full stop. Hold on.
13
players.
72%.
Three players. Yes, I told. So you told Jesse.
I didn't mean to jump ahead for you trying to. Yeah, I agree. I get it.
Yeah.
Just do it again for effect because I went too far.
No, you're good. 3 players. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Eric Armstead make up for 30% of the cap.
That's incredible.
Fred Warner and George Kittle adding on to that add up for 47% of the cap. That's 5 players.
Yeah.
They make up for damn near half.
Almost
of the cap.
half. Yeah.
Okay. After you go down for the 10 players, all right, that's Trent Williams, Deebo, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, George Kittle. That's 5. Then you got Mooney at 6% of the cap. Javon Hargrave at 5% of the cap. Nick Bosa at 5% of the cap. Christian McCaffrey at 4.8% of the cap. And BA at 4.8% of the cap. 72% of the cap is wrapped up in 10 players on this entire football team.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yes. This entire football team. So
I'm curious how that stacks up though against other teams. You know what I mean? Like I'm wondering, what do other teams look like? Is it similar? Are we more top heavy than other teams? That's one thing I want to look into.
Yeah.
Well, we've got 5 players making north of $20 million a year.
Yeah. Well, typically a lot of teams have quarterbacks making,
that's the thing. The Niners can do that because they don't have someone. They have the cheapest quarterback room in the league. That allows them to splurge. It's a good strategy. It is, but
you're the GM. You're the GM. We'll start coach. So you're the GM coach. What's the one move you make to free up cap space for the 49ers?
I cut Eric Armstead. He's got to go. Kyle Juszczyk is getting cut. He's got to go. I'm only holding on to Javon Hargrave because he's been here a year, and I can't take that back. I'm trading George Kittle to the Bears. Jake Brendel, sayonara, you're gone. Then we'll see what we can do with Deebo. What we'll do, we'll lean on him, make him the number 1 option, and then gaslight him into taking a pay cut. So that's what I do.
What would you do, Grant?
What I do, I'm with him. I like what Coach said. What they will do is keep the team together and restructure Deebo and Mooney and run it back. That's what they're going to do. We're not going to make any big changes because the owner, I feel like big changes come from the owner being mad. Hey, I wasn't good enough. I want to win the Super Bowl. Okay, what are we going to do differently? But Jed's not like that. Jed's like, I love you guys. This is the greatest. I'm having so much fun. There's no actual urgency to get over the hump. So they'll just keep running it back. Jed's willing to write the checks, right? He's not mad. He's writing the checks. Run it back.
One thing I know they're going to do, they got to do something with Juice. There's no way they're paying him 7.5. So I imagine
he's got to go.
I don't think they're going to.
No way they're paying him 7.5. Do you not know Kyle Shanahan and this team? There is absolutely a way they paid Kyle Juszczyk. He is very good friends with Kyle Shanahan. Are you kidding me?
Do you think? I just don't see them actually paying him 7.5. I see like a restructure, pay cut, something.
Okay,
not
all right. Extend his contract. Keep him here until he's 40.
They're definitely not cutting him like a lot of
What's
people
Harvard?
Say. Yeah.
You know what? Now, when you look at the money, and I know like fans don't want to do this because it's just boring, but if you look at the money, sometimes the narratives that come across the team are just laughable, right? Like, oh, we're so glad that Trent is going to stay another year and he's not going to leave us and retire. Dude, Trent Williams is making $31 million next year. He's not going anywhere. Like, what? Like he's not. He's like, oh man, I'll stay as long as they have me.
It's just not for me. I don't want to make $31 million. I'm gonna read.
Yeah.
To catch up on my reading.
31 is enough. It's enough for me. You know what? The fact that I don't practice, I barely have a camp, and I get to shave the annual 3 games off a year. Like at the end of the day, this is almost kind of like a seminar. Like this is like a little boot camp that I'm going to, a little franchise, money boot camp.
He gets like 3 lockers in the locker room. He essentially, they're just like, Trent, whatever you need, man. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're around, great.
I got another question that ties the last 2 questions together. But before I do that, let me hit this super chat from City Burt. Says, is it possible Kyle's Eagles, Andy Reid? A lot of things said about Kyle were similar things with Reid on the Eagles. Yeah, I think that's something that people have been saying for a couple of years. It's possible that that's how it works out for Kyle, that he doesn't win one here and he has to go win one somewhere else. I
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because Andy Reid spent 15 years in Philly, okay? And Andy Reid went up against one of the meanest fan bases and medias while he was there, where there was no middle ground with Philly. So like in Philly, either you're good or you suck. There's no middle ground, period. So I don't see like Andy Reid and Kyle's track the same way, because Kyle's been here for seven years now. So I don't see it yet. Nah.
Thanks for the super chat, brother. All right. Let me ask you guys this.
Real quick, I want to compare Kyle to someone. To me, he's his dad, but like later career. His dad in Denver was there a long time and didn't win anything after Elway. He had all the power in the organization. He was probably the most powerful coach in the league, Mike Shanahan, for a cool 10 years. More powerful than Belichick, more powerful than Holmgren. And it wasn't good for the Broncos. A lot of people said Belichick, Shanahan, the GM, got Shanahan, the coach, fired. There's something to that with Kyle. He's so powerful. I don't think Andy Reid ever had the Eagles organization under his thumb like that.
He seems to be getting more powerful every year. It feels like
they extend him every 2 years. Just like, hold on, we need you're here through 2040.
Yeah,
your son's going to be the coach. It's like what?
So here's the question I wanted to ask you. Those last 2 kind of tie into it. Can the 49ers be players in free agency? We talked about what the 49ers need, how they can free cap space. If the 49ers can be some kind of players in free agency and fill one of those needs that helps them with the draft, do you think the 49ers will be players at all in free agency? Will they fill any of these needs in free agency?
I don't think they have the money. They would like to, but it's time. We got to pay our bills, man. We've been kicking the can on this money situation with our team for a long time. And if you pay attention to history, we thought it was going to happen directly after 2019. Then COVID bailed us out. Then we got another kick in the salary cap a year prior. And then we just got another bump. But the thing about this bump is that it still isn't enough for us because of all of these older guys that we have to pay now. Like there's going to come a time where we're going to have to pay the piper financially on what we've done. We had 3 extensions at the beginning of this season. We extended Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, I believe, and another player that seems to escape me right now. But no, we're gonna have to pay for this. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God that we finally have a draft now, because the Trey Lance move made us a lot older. We're a much older team.
Here's the thing, though. You're keeping this older team together. You're running it back because you want to give it one more chance. You already have a really expensive roster. You're only 3 points better than Detroit. Detroit's going to make big moves this offseason. Like, they have all kind of cap space. They could bring in Brian Burns. They could bring in Chris Jones. They could really add to their defense. And if the Niners want to be that team in the NFC, they may need to have a corresponding move, not something huge, but a starter. So again, they can create cap space by restructuring Debo, which maybe people think is a bad idea. I might think it's a bad idea, but they're so locked in to this core. I think they're gonna do something that the coach would feel is financially irresponsible. I think they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I think that there's a way that they can get one big need here, and I would like to see them address the D end in free agency. And there's a guy like, I don't know how realistic it is, because he's kind of estimated 3 years, 60 million, 20 million per season, which is a lot. But I think it's possible if we do some of the things that we were talking about earlier. And that guy is Danielle Hunter. I would love for the 49ers to get Danielle Hunter. That addresses that need instantly. And then they can focus on the offensive line and the other needs. Do you think that's realistic at all? And then, who would you want them to get in free agency, Grant?
There's Hunter, there's Clowney, there's so many DNs available. Like, it's a premium position, but there's so many good DNs on the free agent market. So I'm with it. Get a 3-down D end. It doesn't have to be Hunter, but someone better than Chase Young. Samson Ebukam was great. He was perfect for that role. Someone that good. So Danielle Hunter be better for sure if they can afford it. They have to backload it and eventually probably catch up to him to Coach's point. But if they want to make the best team possible for this year, go get Danielle Hunter, go get Brian Burns.
So, Coach, are you not into the Super Bowl now philosophy? You want them to build long term? Is that what you're more concerned about? And if not, who would you go after?
So if they're not careful, they'll turn into the Rams, who had to have that downturn for a little while, right? And totally rebuild. They had to do that.
I mean, we could chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. I understand that we got to serve two masters. We got to stay inside of a window that you don't usually get, especially for as long as we've had it. And if you can still be a top team in the NFL, why not? And we are eating off the top of the food chain, in a sense that a little bit of grabbing some guys to keep them away from maybe some people that we may see throughout the year is something that we may be able to do as well. I mean, there was a part of that is the reason why we grabbed CMC to keep him out of LA. So what I will say, if we do go free agency, I still want us to protect what we do best, and that's run the ball. There's a free agent that I would love for them to get if they did it. Lloyd Cushenberry, the center out of Denver. Right now, I mean, he would be a little steep because he would probably
you're at Brendel's neck right now. Sorry.
He would be a little steep. Yo, hey, dog. Hey, man. Hey. It is what it is, bro. I played center, bro.
Who's in charge of picking up those, setting those protection schemes?
No, I mean, yeah.
Coach, let me ask you this. You keep, Jake Brendel's heavy on your mind, but do you think that's a bigger need than Colton McKivitz or like a Feliciano Burford guard? Like, to me, like that tackle is the biggest concern. And then it's maybe center.
I like Brendel. I think he's solid. He was UCLA.
What's your grade for Brendel? What's your grade for Brendel, Coach, for last season? What grade would you give him?
I give him a C-.
Oh, that's harsh.
I give him a C-.
He's never missed a game. Hold on, let's give Jake Brendel a little love. He's never missed a game as a starter.
Let's go.
He's never missed a game as a starter.
Okay, so he shows up to work. Good job.
He shows up to work.
Good job.
That is something.
Good job.
Let's go. Something.
No, that's
all right, so thank you for showing up to get paid, Jake. What else?
Okay.
The right tackle to me is bigger concern.
Only give up 2 sacks this year.
Okay. You looking at PFF, right?
I'm looking at Sys Data Hub. They liked him.
Jesus.
They liked him.
Look, I'll put it like this, man. I think that, like I said, I think a strong center rises all tides. We need a strong center for the middle of the pocket and it sets off point of attack when we do inside and outside zone. And with a guy as talented and as young as Lloyd Cushenberry, we can also do multiple run schemes, right? We don't always have to be beholden to zone. Like we can do gap, we can do duo, we can do body on body. We can also run inside and outside zone. We can do veer. There's tons of things that you can do with the athletic center, and it makes us stronger in pass protection. One of the biggest things about Jake Brendel, he's 25, I think. One thing about Brendel is that he gets blown up and gives up depth in the pocket. Brock is always having to either evade the pocket because the middle of it has imploded, or he has to step to the side and rush up the pocket, which is part of his job. But I feel like
he's a smaller center, Brendel, which is why he was on the practice squad for 10 years or 8.
Come on, man. Practice squad for 10 years, and you in here trying to talk about mad that I gave him a C-. Y'all are wilding. I'm just saying.
I just sticking up for my fellow UCLA Bruin over here.
I'm not mad at you, bro. Like, look out for your mans. But
UCLA Bruins and white cornerbacks, I'm gonna go hard for them.
Do what you got to do. Understand. L'chaim. I understand. All I'm saying is that a better center makes the offensive line stronger. Yeah. And Colton McKivitz, this is what I know about what I've learned about this regime since they've been here. If you find a way to start and consistently be a part of Kyle's scheme where he can either make you an asset in what he needs you to do for him, and he can, in his own mind, he can like play around your weaknesses, he will play you. He will play you. And I feel like Colton McKivitz kind of falls in that line. I wouldn't be surprised if Colton McKivitz gets kicked down to guard and they draft a right tackle.
Here's the thing, Coach, is like, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Is, this is our opinions, but the 49ers, I don't think they see Jake Brendel as a problem. I don't even know if they see McKivitz as a problem, really.
I don't think they do.
Right. So, I mean, obviously they're meeting with linemen, so they are thinking long term. McKivitz has one more year on his contract. He's not excellent, but I don't think Brendel's like, I don't think Lynch is like, we got to replace Brendel. I don't think. Maybe McKivitz. I think they're comfortable with Burford and Feliciano at right guard. So I think tackle is probably the only realistic option.
I think
now, maybe
Brendel's actually signed for a few seasons. I think he's going to be here for a while. But I like the way the coach is thinking, not thinking what the Niners will do, but what they should do. That's interesting. I just think it's so. I would be willing to bet money.
That shit ain't happening.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet money they're going to draft an offensive tackle in round one. Like I would put money down on that.
Well, I mean, but what you're saying, okay. So what you're basically saying is that you're putting money that they're trading up.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because that's what they got to do. That's the only reason why I'm on like this viable move, because I feel like we're not really talking about the real conversation, which is what has to happen for the Niners to move up, and does that involve Brandon Ayuk because they can't get a deal done before draft? What does that involve? Are we giving up our second round pick? Like, are we going to be okay with the compensation of what we need to do to move up to go get that tackle?
Well, hold on. You mentioned a bunch of offensive tackles earlier, like Graham Barton, the Niners met with at the combine. CBS has him ranked 46 right now. Jordan Morgan from Arizona, they have him ranked at 39. Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma, they have him ranked at 30. I think there's a good chance that all three of those dudes are better than Mike McGlinchey, and if that's the case, the Niners might be interested even at 31. I don't know if they're plug and play, but they also have Colton McKivitz. So
I've seen a couple mocks that have Morgan from Arizona coming to the Niners at 31.
They could probably stick at 31 and get a guy who's better than McGlinchey and McKivitz.
So then you literally just want a right tackle then, because I thought the reason why we're going to go get the right tackle to go up is because not only are we looking for a plus athlete at that position, but we're looking for somebody to eventually replace Trent.
I'm in favor of trading up. I was making the point that they could stick and probably improve at that position, but I think they should trade up.
Yeah, because if we stand pat and get a tackle at 31, just know we got another scheme fit. We didn't get one of the best tackles in the draft.
I don't want to hear that. What I know is McKivitz is
better than
a fifth rounder. So even
we don't know that. At the time, Mike McGlinchey was top 10, Grant.
McKivitz is a fifth round.
Talent. That is wild, right? But we don't know that.
Yeah, I feel like if they get a guy at 31, it's going to be better than McKivitz regardless. I mean, hopefully, because McKivitz is a fifth round talent who kind of worked his way into it. I feel like this guy Morgan, like all those guys that you named, Jordan, They got to be better than McKivitz. No disrespect.
I felt like McGlinchey was misevaluated. I thought people felt that he could play left or right tackle. He played both at Notre Dame. I think some people thought he'd be eventually a left tackle and that he would replace Joe Staley. Nope.
That's true.
Nope. So if you get a pure right tackle at 31, that guy still might be better than McGlinchey, because if people had known back then that McGlinchey was just a right tackle, ain't no way he's going top 10. No way.
If the 49ers can shore up the defensive end of free agency and draft a year one starter at right tackle with 31, or move up and get them, I think they're going to be in a really good position with everything else.
I think so.
Yeah. So
Hey,
that's the plan.
It's a good year for offensive tackles. It's a good class, right? So that plays in the Niners' hands.
But at the same time, I'm noticing now that maybe my way of doing things is just differently, because this is a scheme fit team. They draft for scheme.
Yeah.
They do. They draft for scheme. They're not going to get the best guy on the board. They're going to draft the best guy for what they do. So, I mean, and Amarius Mims,
you know what they want on the right side of their offensive line. You know what they want on the right side of their offensive line.
They just want somebody that
it's outside zone. It's guys who get out in space
that can run. Yeah.
You got to run.
Amarius Mims may just be too high.
Big.
Yeah. He's 6'7".
He's Jones last year.
God.
Trent Brown was too big. Like, you have to be 6'7", 290 to play off right tackle for the 49ers.
It's so crazy, bro.
You have to be a glorified tight end to play right tackle for the 49ers. I don't get it.
It's wild, bro.
All right, let me get these super chats. I'm going to hit a couple more topics here. Dave Barkley.
Why are you sitting? What's up with your side profile, bro?
He's chilling. He's chilling. You should do it too, and then it's like bookends.
No, that's I'm not getting. Somebody's gonna clip that up and do something with it. Y'all aren't thinking the way I'm thinking. Relax.
Thanks for giving people the idea. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm not having us both leaning into you so somebody can. They'll do crazy stuff with that. No way.
I'll be like,
it's not happening, bro.
All right. One of our favorite guys, Dave Barkley, says, "Oh, sheesh, these three together. This is amazing." He also says, have I missed much? Should have highlighted this. No, you haven't missed anything at all, Dave. Good to see you, man. Corey Soto, what's up, Corey? Says, speaking of the Vikes, I like the Ison rumor. We heard at the combine about Minnesota trading for Trey Lance to be their next starter. Trey Lance to JJ See it. What do you guys think about Trey Lance to Minnesota?
I mean,
he's from there.
Yeah, it's a good fit. What also is a good fit as well is like it's a good scheme fit too. They run what we run. It'd be dope to see him over there. They love him. He'd actually get a shot to play. I was just having this conversation earlier today. Like, the only way Trey Lance is going to get a shot is he's going to have to get on the team where like they really have no choice but to play him. Because at this stage of his career, no coach really has the cachet or the time to say, I'm going to wrap my arm around this reclamation project and my career and my team to make sure that this kid gets a shot. I feel like, in a way, Trey,
playoff team.
Yeah, but I feel like,
well, that's why
I feel like him going to the Vikings and them kind of like surrounding themselves around Trey. I think that will put that coaching staff in a really precarious situation. This kid has not played a lot of football. They're trying to get him into a system that, albeit it's germane to what he learned, but it's not the exact same system. And people get fired for moves like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's how guys get shipped out. So my opinion would be that Trey gets on a team that's losing and kind of has like a Geno Smith type of deal where it's like, hey, kid, we really don't have any expectations on the season anyway. The show is yours. Do what you need to do. And then Trey may galvanize the locker room and catch fire that way. But that's far-fetched. But at the same time, realistically, I don't see any coach saying, this is our guy with 4 starts and he hasn't played a real NFL football game in 2 years. And by the way, this is his 3rd team. Like, nobody's going to.
He's getting Josh Rosen. Once you're on your third team, once you're on your 3rd team in 4 years, like, no one's invested in you anymore. Like, you are almost out. So good luck, right?
You know what's funny is that the Cowboys paid $5 million to retain Trey Lance, and the Niners are paying $5.5 million this year for Trey Lance. So maybe he can touch the field. Would be nice. Nick Falcon says, I know most people want to right tackle in the draft, but I want the center from Oregon. Kid's going to be an all-pro. Look at this guy, Coach. Are you tapping in from Coach's channel?
Look, bro. Listen,
I would
I'm
never
spreading the
disagree or
gospel.
argue with the coach about offensive line. That's his expertise.
That's
of
my shit.
expertise.
I'm spreading the gospel, bro. I'm telling you, a good center, it fixes so much, bro. Like when you think about how many times we were on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 1. All right. Going 5 wide on 3rd and 6 with the number 1 rusher in the NFL. Bro, a good center could really expose D tackles, depth, linebackers. It draws in corners and safeties because they're getting bodied down there in the gaps. It really puts a lot of onus on the defense to be sound if you playing against a really good center. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Jesse has the Brock Purdy hater narrative. I think we should establish the coach is definitely,
and Jackson Power Johnson is a great center. Sorry.
We should establish that the coach is a Jake Brindle hater. I'm just kidding.
I mean, do what you want. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ducking no smoke. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, dog. Like, I'm being respectful, bro.
Everyone, get that going. Let's get that going. Brother, really, Kyle Bob says, whoa, morning to my faves, minus nails. What's up, brother Bob? Nice to see you.
Bob
says, in the last 5 years, Hawks made the best trade with the Broncos and Niners, the worst with Trey. Can you talk about how that will affect both West teams going forward? Grant, you want to get this one?
I mean, the Niners, okay, so the Hawks won that trade. They were really smart. The Niners lost that trade, really dumb. The Niners are still way, 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 way better than the Seahawks. It didn't affect either team. I mean, they still have Geno Smith and the Niners have Brock. So Niners are going to beat them twice this year.
At this point, they're at ground zero right now, right? Starting fresh anyway. So
they have that D coordinator who did such a good job against the Niners this year with Baltimore, but they're a year away from being a year away. I like their wide receivers.
Brother, really, Kyle Bob says, Cohn gets in Kyle Levy's face 24/7. Thanks. I'm not going to read that.
Right.
I have a truce. I'm not reading that, brother Bob.
Yeah. Why is that dude such an instigator, man?
Brother Bob?
Yeah.
He lives for it.
Because Bob, let me tell you something. This is what Brother Bob loves to do. He gets a kick out of making us read what he has to say. So he's sitting there kind of like.
Do you ever see that South Park where Kyle's dad is an internet troll and he just like gets in his office and pours himself a glass of red wine and just goes to town on people? Brother Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
He's in the classical music, really in the zone and just going for it.
He like, say it. I paid for it, so say it.
And people don't know, Brother Bob's like a super intelligent.
He's bro. If people really knew, Brother Bob is your uncle, bro. He is a nice dude, man.
Yeah. Smart too.
Yeah.
Daza 0187 says, I've heard the best O-line won't be at 31 when we draft. Why not trade up and get one? We don't need 11 players. Our draft picks barely made the roster as is. Yeah, they're not drafting 11 players. So I imagine they'll move somewhere at some point.
Just like how they moved up for Ayuk, just a few spots when they were at 31. I mean, do that. Don't be passive at 31 and miss the guy that you want.
Also, can I add something too? Like,
no.
This kind of crystallized in my mind. Like, this is why I don't want to draft any tackle at 31. It's because what happens is that you're not getting better as a team. You're just trying to maintain. And we all know that maintaining doesn't exist. Right.
Yeah.
So,
better or worse.
Yeah. So if you go and get a tackle at 31 and he's like a fringe, like plug and play guy, because that's what he is. He's just a good right tackle. Then that means that the progression of what he is just going to be like maybe an okay right tackle. His ceiling may not be there. So what happens is that the players that we have, they weren't average players. These are like great players that we hit on, right? Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers in the league, right? Brandon Ayuk is one of the best receivers in the league. These guys aren't just good starters that play together. On their own, they are good. That's what makes us together a great team. So if we start kind of like making brother-in-law agreements where it's like, well, we are kind of good with our other guys. It's like, yeah, but they're getting older. So go get a blue chip. Like, let's put good on good. You know, I just feel like even if we win at 31 and we were picked literally at 31, I'd want a pass rusher or a good center. I want like a great player at that position, not a patch.
You want best player available.
Yeah. Best player available for what we need that can help our team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, imagine if the Niners had taken best player available instead of Mike McGlinchey.
Who would
has
they
that?
They had
had? I mean,
Minkler. They
that's
could have had Derwin. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if the Niners had taken best player available instead of Javon Kinlaw. When you pigeon yourself into, I have to take this spot. Okay, well, you just passed on Tristan Wirfs, and you need
That's
that
my
too.
point. That's my point.
So as long as you get a great player, work it out.
Thank you.
Kool-Aid might be there.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid might be the answer at
Dog.
corner. Yeah.
That's exactly. Go ahead.
Found out that there's a player named Kool-Aid today. Wow.
Kool-Aid McKinstry?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah. Tom Jensen sent me the mothership for getting prepared, and I just opened it and saw Kool-Aid, and I closed it. And I was like, you know what? It's too early in the morning. I must have read that wrong.
Yeah.
But I like it.
That's another point that I wanted to make as well. Like with getting like plus athletes, man. Like don't just try to get guys that are adequate, man. Like shoot for the stars. Like that's part of the pivoting that we're trying to talk about with what we have now. These guys are way more talented than we give them credit for as far as this wide nine or the specific offense that we run. Like Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, the biggest schools that you can name of in the United States, they don't turn down 5 stars. They do not. Alabama does not turn down a 5-star because he doesn't fit their scheme. They draft that kid and they say, we're going to get in literally the best recruits at period, and we'll make a team. Yeah. We got coaches that are good enough to put the scheme together to get these guys together. But we're not about to be out here curating a 5-star kid that we know is a plus athlete that's off the charts good and say, well, he's a little too big for our scheme. We're not gonna keep him there because he can't handle the wide nine. He can't handle the wide zone. It's like, no, draft his ass and make it work.
Yeah, would you guys agree that if the 49ers draft, let's say, 2 starters, it's a successful draft?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a freaking bonanza for the Niners. How many starters have they drafted the last 2 years?
Yeah.
2?
That's what I'm saying. They can fill that
3
two spots, maybe. 1, I'll be happy. If they get a starting right tackle, I'll be happy with this draft and maybe some guys for the future.
I need more. I need depth. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of sins that they committed that have kind of like gone under the rug. They completely killed our depth for the defensive line. We had to go and get 3 guys in the middle of the year just to survive it. They better go get our depth back. They get
need a
younger
D tackle who can start. Maybe not right away, but who can start, because what happens when Armstead goes down with plantar fasciitis?
What's that kid's name? I can't remember his name right now.
Who?
White defensive tackle was moving. He was like the fastest dude there.
Fisk.
Yeah.
He's a bum.
He's a bum?
Yeah, he's a bum.
Really?
He is a workout warrior. But watch the tape.
Underwear Olympics champion.
Yeah, he's a bum. He made himself some money. We know his name, but I wouldn't watch the tape, bro. It ain't. Yeah. That workout was better than the play.
All right. Corey Soda says he isn't being Rosen. Trey Lance is being Trey Lance. Rosen got seasons. No 3rd overall quarterback. Only got 4 games. It's unprecedented and still pisses me off.
That is true. That is true. I meant just getting shipped around that much. It's tough to come back from. 3rd team in 4 years. It's hard.
Yeah. I would love to see one team.
It's better for him to stay in Dallas, honestly.
I would love to see one team just give him 1 season, let him play quarterback, see what happens. Kenny says the Golden Trinity. Is there any way we can retain Jennings? He's such a great playmaker. I would take him over Juice. Pause if necessary. I think they are going to retain Jennings. That's what they said, at least. So we'll see. I'm trying to figure out the pause.
They put a 2nd-round tender on him, right?
I'm not sure they have. I'm not sure that's been reported.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe there was like reports that they may do that.
Yeah, they may. Yes.
And Dave Barclay says, Brother Bob is on the same page as me always. Doesn't surprise me. Nick Falcon says, I know this sounds crazy, but what if they traded BA, then drafted the center from Oregon, and they stay at 31 and take a right tackle, fix the O-line in one offseason?
So you would trade up to go get the center? I'd trade up to go get the tackle and then still pick the center at 31. I'd flip it, but I don't think they're trading BA. I really hope they get it done, man. In my opinion, if they
you get an offense, I don't know about that.
Exactly. If BA is gone, I don't care about the offensive line. Yeah, there's nobody on this team that runs his route tree.
Ronnie Bell? I don't think so.
Yeah,
maybe someone in the draft, but you'd have to take him in round 1.
Thanks for all the super
If they don't get this done, it's because they didn't want to get it done because the money's there. They can do it.
appreciate all the super chats from everybody. I'm gonna get back to it to wrap the show up. But before I do, I want to hit these guys with this one last. Just want to get their take. I thought Debo was pretty honest on K, whatever, I forget her last name, K Adams. Yeah, he does that show with K like weekly, I think. And he spoke about how devastating it was to lose a Super Bowl, and that, you know, they told him there's always next year in 2019, but it took him 4 years to get back. Did you guys see those comments from Debo, and what did you think about them?
What were his comments?
He basically said that it was devastating. The Super Bowl loss was devastating for him. And that in 2019, everyone said there's always next year. But then he said it took me 4 years to get back here. So there's no guarantees. I thought it was really actually like an honest, refreshing answer to hear from the 49ers, because usually we hear this, oh, we'll run it back. We'll be back next year type stuff. And there's no guarantee that happens. I thought it was a good take from Debo. I'm curious what you guys thought.
Sobering. I mean, those comments sound sobering. I would love to watch them so I can honestly like watch his context. And, you know, me and Grant have talked about how I look at interviews. Like there's a kind of process that I watch them. But for me, it's the truth. You don't know when we're going to be back. We talked about how this one felt. It felt different. It did not feel like the 2019 loss. They were almost indignant about the loss in 2019. Right? Like this did not happen to us. Like they're almost like we got shafted. A little bit of like the Eagles loss last year. But this year, you saw some raw experiences. These guys were speechless. You could tell that they were looking at their coach a different way. There were a lot of comments that were made in the moment that you can tell that they were shocked that they lost. They weren't prepared to lose.
You see the comments, Grant?
I mean, I hear them now.
Yeah.
And I guess my thought is this is sort of what the Super Bowl hangover is about. People ask, is it real? How come teams that lose the Super Bowl tend to struggle the next year? Coach just mentioned it. Like when they lost last year, they were able to galvanize themselves around this narrative that they were screwed. They should have won. They were the better team. It wasn't fair. They got all that. And it fueled them all through the offseason, throughout this. I mean, they were the number one seed. They used it to be the best version of themselves. And they had the team. They had the lead. They had it all. And they lost because why? Because the coach didn't know the rule? I mean, they still don't really know why they lost that game. And I think there's nothing to really galvanize themselves around this year. Like, you had the best team. You had the lead.
What do you think they think? What do you think Debo Samuel thinks, Grant?
I think privately they think our coach freaking blew it. Our coach needed to know the rule. Our coach didn't know the rule. And we're over here covering for him, talking about like, oh yeah, he told our position coaches. No, our coach didn't know the rule. And that's why we lost to the best team. I think that's a hard pill to swallow for the players.
Yeah. And then get motivated, get back on the grind.
It's like,
that's
we could do everything right. Again, put in all this time and effort and pain and blood and sweat and tears, and you won't know the freaking rule.
Yeah.
This is going to come up, but this is going to come up. This is going to come up throughout the year. This isn't the first time in the season Kyle was unprepared. Throughout the season, we were talking about it. There are many instances throughout the season where Kyle flatly admitted that he was not prepared. He admitted that he wasn't prepared to lose Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams in the same game against Cleveland. He flatly said, he goes, oh, well, you know, you come in with a plan, but when you lose somebody like Trent Williams and Deebo at the same time, you kind of really don't know what to do with the offense at that time. He like admitted that, right? It's kind of like, no, that's what your job is for. So I just want to see the responses from the team if and when these blunders happen in the future, because that's the biggest thing that Kyle needs to change, in my opinion, is his preparedness. He is a brilliant play caller, play sequencer. He knows exactly what to do with scheming up offensives, and has a really good eye for producing talent. But in-game decisions, real-time adjustments, understanding what's happening around you at the moment and when it's time for you to bail off of what you're doing, or knowing that, hey, it's time for me to just lean on the best assets that I have at the time and get out of the way. These are things that are like, he's notorious for these things now.
Let's get these super chats because I know we got some hard outs here real quick. Brother Bob says, Coach and Ryan OG know me so well. Say it. Not going to. I got a truce with the gentleman. I'm going to keep it that way for now. City Burt says, Wirfs, Trey Smith are unusual to come in like that. First year tackles takes time to develop. Should a trade or free agent be better route? On the offensive line, I don't care if they tackle the offensive line or the DN in free agency. One of the two.
Go ahead, Grant.
That's true. I mean, the Niners did pretty well on offense with the rookie Mike McGlinchey. He didn't ruin their season.
No.
They'd be, I don't know. They're gonna draft They're gonna draft a right tackle.
He's got to be heady.
News.
He's got to be smart. Yeah.
Yep.
Got to be a smart guy. Also, Brother Bob says, Dave, sup? We talking about draft, but Kyle Levy will fail. Appreciate you guys. Michael McCain says we need to re-sign AB. I would draft the best available OT with 31, move up in round 2 to take Jatavion Sanders. If Rice is there, great. Don't reach. Any feedback on that one, gentlemen? That's the last one.
We need to resign AB. I would draft the best available OT at 31, move up in round 2 to take Javon Sanders.
AB. Who the hell is AB? I can't think right now. Who's AB?
We need to. I think you wanted to say Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, BA. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. A best tackle at 31, in my opinion, is not doing the best thing for your team right now. I think if you're going to get a tackle, you trade up and go get a tackle because that's where the best ones are. But if you are going to stand pat at 31, then you need to get the best position at 31. And I think the best, you could find a really good center that could play for you for 10 years at a really high level at 31.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to keep this timely because I know you guys got to get out of here. I could talk to both of you gentlemen for hours on end, but we can't do that today. Maybe some other day. Do me a favor, like and subscribe to all the videos on all channels. I'm about 120, 130 away from 8,000, trying to get there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that. Subscribe to the coach's channel. And then
I'm 63 from 4.
There you go. And then for God's
sake.
Look
at Grant putting that on. Hey, Ryan, let's give Grant some love real quick. Hey, so hold on. Grant.
For God's sake.
Nah. We got a boy here, bro. Dog, Grant is the OG,
Grant.
Dog.
Please get Grant some subs.
Thanks.
He needs them.
I got enough. Thank you.
Up.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm glad you guys follow everyone. It's a whole family. Follow us all.
The tree.
Grant Cohn tree. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing this with me. I'll be back on Friday with somebody. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Grant. I'll see you guys soon.
No problem, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much for watching the Ryan G. Hensley Show. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. The Ryan G. Hensley Show is brought to you by Hensley Real Estate and Mortgage. I've been operating my real estate business in the state of California since 2009, and I would love to help your family. We are also sponsored by Hensley Solar. I can put solar on your house in up to 38 states. Underdog Fantasy is a sponsor of the channel. Please check out the details in the description to see how you can join Underdog Fantasy and get $100 matched in your initial deposit.